Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm back from my basic military training, and I am now fully in the Navy. It was a pretty, I don't know where the camera's kind of lined up. It was a pretty challenging drive up. I do recall saying I was going to buy a car. The person never contacted me back. I did buy a different car though. It's right behind the camera. But training went well. Everything went fairly good, and now I'm in Halifax. So I'm actually closer to home. It's currently Saturday right now, so I'm on the weekend, which means I get to work on my own stuff for the weekends, which is good because currently I only have the Jeep and the Datsun as working vehicles. The Jeep is barely holding on, and the Datsun isn't really fit for highway travel. So that's a bit of a challenge. What I did was, when I was in Quebec, we got our Christmas vacation. So it was from December 7th to January 4th. On December 7th, I bought a car, drove it home. So from St. Jean, or essentially just Montreal, Quebec, to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. I drove that car home with a horrible overheating issue because there was a very bad coolant leak. And that was essentially it, actually. These cars, there's going to be a few hints. These cars have known overheating issues, like notorious for overheating. It's a GM product, if that helps. So I drove that car home, and that was fine. Drove it around home for a while. My subframe in the rear was never undercoated and unfortunately snapped on my way back to Quebec. I got to about Halifax, and my wheel was only being held on by a control arm. So I limped it back and ended up taking the Dodge on a 2,000-mile round trip to Quebec and back, which it did unbelievably well. On the way up, there was not a single issue, and on the way back, there was just issues that I had been meaning to get at. My fuel pump, the connectors burnt up, which I managed to fix on the side of the road. It was just a screwdriver I needed. One of my battery terminals, like the cables, shook loose, so that was probably from me because I swapped out the battery into the Datsun a little while before. So that's my fault. And a little bit of a worse one, my exhaust pipe smashed into my brake line and blew out the brakes in the rear. So from the border of Quebec and New Brunswick is where the brakes blew out. And I drove all the way home on essentially the front brakes using ATF as brake fluid, which is unfortunate. It barely worked, but it did somehow work. And the car managed to get home. And the only other issue I noticed was some sound out there. The only other issue I noticed was my fan clutch bit the dust as well. So that also needs to be replaced. It's too cold, unfortunately, for me to really work. I'm gonna start moving the camera around and try not to show the car back. I don't know how much can be seen outside. Just open up the door. Why is that so blurry? There we go. Yeah. The entire driveway is just made of ice. There's a little patch right over there. You can see where it's not shining. That's the only point in the driveway that's not made of ice. So everything's kind of just frozen in. Dodge, Datsun sitting outside. Oh, I hear Butters, so I'll have to go let him in. Let him in a second. But yeah, it's been in the negatives here for over a month, which is crazy because it's never that cold here. And everything's kind of broken. Anyway, as to the car I bought. It's a 1999 Cadillac DeVille, which it's in decent shape. I bought it for $3,000, so it's pretty much a steal. But unfortunately, the subframe kind of blew up in the rear. It's on this side. This wheel was barely holding on. The inside is lovely. This is immediately my favorite car to drive because it has cruise control, it's comfy. I love the bench seat. There's plenty of room in the back. There's my bottle of coolant. There's all of my cassette tapes because it has a cassette player still. Radio works. The speaker in this door is blown out, I think. But other than that, everything works on the inside. It has an all-digital dash, which I love. I can swap between metric and imperial, which is very nice. I have my Twilight Sentinel there on the dash. It's a column shift still. Dash started kind of like delaminating over there, but that's whatever. I'd love to show what's under the hood right now, but that's not really the point. It has a North Star V8, which I know is everyone's favorite engine when it comes to getting nice and toasty. Because it didn't even have an overheating issue. The guy that sold it to me said that it had a... he said the water pump was bad. Which wasn't the case. They just never put coolant inside of the car for some reason. This panel, something happened to this. This was already cracked when I got it. I did, however... unfortunately, during our Christmas break, they made us leave. Like, we had to leave the base on 3 hours of sleep. So, after 24 hours of... After 24 hours of being awake and driving on 3 hours of sleep, I unfortunately went off the road into a snowbank and kind of broke that part of the bumper. There was an under bit of plastic too, but fortunately the car's a tank. I went off doing 125. My foot got a little heavy on the pedal. But the car was completely fine. It ripped the mufflers up a little bit because they were rotted, but like I said, it was all good. These were the mufflers that I took off. They're not doing too hot. There's that one. That shock was blown. Had to take that out. Then that one was getting weak. But yeah, overall, I really do like the car. And that's actually the point of this video. This is a small introduction to the Cadillac and what I'm doing now. Is that mold? No, never mind. I have to replace the subframe. So I'm getting ready to do that. You can see the car's jacked up on one side. It's tilted. So I'm getting ready to do that. I'm just trying to jack the car up tonight. I need 2 cinder blocks per side. I already have the wheels loosened, but I think I might continue this tomorrow. It's kind of cold and I don't really feel like working. That and the subframe I ordered was supposed to get here on the 14th of February. It's currently the 22nd, and they messaged me a day before they were supposed to send it again. It was supposed to get here on the 21st. So Friday, the last Friday that just happened. And they messaged me on Thursday asking what my address was. So that's pretty nice. It's supposedly coming from Arkansas, which is pretty far away. But hopefully it gets here within the year, and I'll be able to replace this. Because I really miss Cadillac to drive, because the Jeep's not holding on for much longer, and I can't drive the Dodge. Which sucks, but I don't know. At least I can start pulling this apart, and then when the subframe gets here, I can hopefully fix all that. So yeah, I think this is a good little... I forgot how I looked. I'm not used to flipping the camera around. yeah, overall, I'm happy with the car. And I did look underneath for rust. Look right in the camera. I did look underneath for rust. The problem is, it was the top of the subframe that rusted. The bottom of it was completely clean, because I took it to a garage after. The bottom of the car is pretty good for being in Quebec, and for a 25-year-old car with 259,000 kilometers. It's pretty high mileage. But it's doing pretty good for rust, apart from the top of that subframe. Because it was just like a thin part of metal that already looked pretty weak, so. It sucks, but at least I have a new subframe coming. Hopefully I'll be able to drive this, because it's a lovely car. It makes 275 horsepower. Smooth as can be on the highway. Can actually hold 130. The Jeep can barely do 100. I have to drive that back to Halifax tomorrow. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction back. First time actually like looking into the camera while walking. It's weird. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. My little explanation. There should be more videos coming out. Should be. As it warms up, there will be more, because I have to work on the Dodge, the Datsun. My mirror broke on the Datsun, so that might be a quick video of just fixing things up. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see everyone in the next one, where I can finally start working on the Cadillac. Because I'm kind of excited to get back into working, so. Thanks for watching.